Welcome to Attunement with Courtney O'Keefe. I am your host, Courtney. Today we have a very exciting guest on for the throat chakra guest story. Kendra is a group fitness instructor in Chicago area, currently teaching with Corepower, drip yoga, and sweat sessions. She comes from a corporate career background in operations and learning and development across the retail and tech industry. A Pennsylvania native, Kendra and her husband, Kevin, moved to Chicago in 2020, and she has been spending the last 5 years developing and nurturing a strong community here in the Midwest. She's a cat mom, loving auntie, and lifelong learner. Welcome, Kendra, to Attunement.
Oh my gosh, Courtney, I am so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so happy to have you here. I was telling you a couple weeks ago when we planned this, I put out into the universe that I wanted someone to come onto Attunement with a throat chakra story. And you had launched a project that we're going to get into that I was like, oh, this is a perfect fit. I'm so excited.
It was truly meant to be. When you sent me that message, I was like, whoa, talk about universe aligning.
Seriously. And just a little background on our relationship. I met Kendra through Drip almost like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And we just kind of clicked and connected. You were my instructor, and then we became friends.
Yay. That's like the best relationship ever is like, and Courtney, that is like so hard. Actually, I think a lot of people think like, oh, you're a fitness instructor. You like probably have like so many friends.
Yeah,
But it's really difficult to cross that line of being like instructor to friend. But I think for us, it was just like meant to be. It was so natural.
yeah, totally. I love it. And I have loved to have like seen your evolution journey over the past 3 years because I feel like you are a completely different person in the best way than you were 3
Thank
years
you.
ago.
Thank you. It's really hard to see your own evolution and growth. So to hear that from someone else who's like actually witnessed it and saw it from their perspective, like means a lot. So I
Oh,
appreciate it.
of course. So let's dive in a little bit to your background. Tell the listeners about you as a person. You can get into anything life, upbringing,
Okay.
career, whatever you want to dive into.
Fantastic. So I think like a little bit about me, as you said, Courtney, I'm from Pennsylvania. I grew up in a really small town in PA. I was raised by two parents who are both school teachers, now retired. And I think, Courtney, you know this a little bit about me because you read my birth chart, but I
Mm-hmm.
think perfectionism runs deep in my bones.
Mm-hmm.
And to no fault of my parents, I think just from a very young age, I was always looking to achieve more, to do more, to be more. Like my success was always evaluated by my productivity. And I think a lot of beautiful things came out of that. I was so ambitious at a young age, overachieving, and it got me like really far in my educational kind of path, like far in sports, and I think far when I started to like join the my corporate career. Um, but there's pros and cons to that, right? And we talked a little bit about that. So I mean, over the last 11 years since I graduated from college, I've really been like focused on climbing the corporate ladder. I think my parents always instilled in my sister and I like get the best job you can, work really hard, like do your best, which of course is what like every parent would want for their son or daughter. Like always looking to chase promotions and awards and accolades. And I always found myself really fulfilled by my corporate career until I found or recognized this passion that I had for group fitness.
Mm.
And honestly, I kind of fell into it. I think, like most people, in college, I played sports, you're part of some sort of team. And then when you leave that environment, like, I feel like that's a big hole in a lot of people's lives. Like, they're looking for that kind of team or community experience that you had so strongly when you
Mm-hmm.
were in school. So I found group fitness and just loved being a part of the community. Like fast forward to wanting to teach in group fitness. And I think over the last, 3 to 4 years specifically, I realized that like this is not just a little thing I do on the side, but it really fuels me in this way that like I can't even really put words to sometimes.
Mhm.
And what that did was it really stretched, I think, my understanding of like what success looks like. And success doesn't have to look like climbing a corporate ladder. Success can look like impacting 5 people, 25 people, 100 people in a room for 60 minutes through movement and energy sharing and storytelling. So I've really found like literally this week, I know Courtney, we talked about it, but I think when this podcast airs,
Mhm.
I'll be transitioning out of my corporate career, which is like a huge change for my life. And I think like a brand new chapter for me. So I've just been feeling this kind of push and pull over the last year, I would say, on like, how can I do both? And what's most important to me?
Yeah.
Being like that corporate girly or really kind of pursuing my passion, which right now is in the fitness space. So
Yeah.
that's like a little bit about kind of me and I think what brought me to where I'm at today.
Yeah. We did go over your chart and you have a lot of Capricorn energy. And
I
so
do.
this
I
is
do.
other people who have Capricorn in their chart will probably relate to that
Yeah.
because it is like striving for the next goal. And this is a huge shift for you that you're coming into. Can you explain a little bit about how you got into making this decision?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, a lot has changed for me in the past few years. And last year specifically, I got married, which I
Mhm.
was so excited to get married to Kevin, my amazing husband. We've been together for, I don't even know, I think 7 years at this point. And, everyone always says like being married is different. And I think for us, we're like, we moved across the country together. We've lived together for so long. Like, how different could it be? But really taking on the role of like husband and wife, like it does feel different. Like there's a different level of severity to that new like role that you take on inside of your household. And as like a beautiful as our first year of marriage was, like it was challenging at times as I was
Yeah.
trying to balance again like all of these different people and places that were pulling me away from like my family unit or the family unit that we were trying to create. And Kevin is like literally one of, I mean, Kevin,
Yeah.
like one of the most like patient and supportive people. He always wants me to do like what's what's feeling good to me, what I'm passionate about. Like I don't think he's ever said no, right,
Mhm.
to something that I want to do. But like I remember him specifically saying like I don't see you anymore. Like I
Mhm.
don't get to spend time with you. Like and I miss that. Like I feel like we need that.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a wake up call to me that like Kevin or like my family or even some of my close friends were getting like the leftover parts of me because I
Mm.
was pouring everything into my career and then I was pouring everything that I had left into group fitness. So I knew that like this wasn't sustainable. And people were always like, Kendra, I don't know how you do it all. Like,
That was literally
I,
going to be my next question. How does that
yes,
make you feel when people say that?
I I want to be the girl that like never gets told that again in her
Yeah.
life
Mhm.
because like I know why people say that and like I get it, but my reaction to it is always like, damn, I wish I wasn't that person because like I don't want to do it all anymore.
Yeah.
I want to do like just enough. I want to do exactly what I need to do and that's it. So like fast forward to the top of this year, I had registered to go on one of the Your Inner Babe retreats. And I know you had Jack Gold on the podcast earlier.
Mhm.
So I'm sure your listeners are familiar with her. But I told Kevin, like, as a joke before I went on the retreat, I'm like, I'm going to come back from this retreat and want to quit my job. And he was like, wait, really?
I
And I'm
love
like,
that.
and I knew it. I already knew at this point that like I was feeling this push pull in a way that was unhealthy. And I really went on the retreat to like just literally take time for me. I told some of my friends, I'm like, it was worth it just to like say, Kendra, you can't have your phone, you can't teach a class, you can't get on your laptop. Like, you just have to be with yourself and your own thoughts and your own feelings. And I like came out of that retreat knowing like, yeah, I've stretched myself too thin. Like, I'm capable of things that I don't even recognize yet because I don't have the time to sit down and like think about them. And like, there's just so much opportunity out there for me that right now I'm almost limiting myself by stretching myself so thin. So, like, having that realization, in the spring led me to have lots of conversations, of course, with like my boss and my colleagues at work, and ultimately deciding again that this week would be my last week.
Love it.
And for now in corporate
Yeah.
America, like, you never know, but I
Mm-mm.
just feel so like passionately that like this chapter is closing and there are new things ahead. What those things are, maybe to be determined, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to see.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I also didn't know that you had that idea going into that retreat because I
Hmm.
always tell you that you are a very intuitive person. If you've ever taken one of Kendra's yoga classes, she does like little snippets in the beginning of her class and they always resonate so much. And I'm like, you're really good at reading energy. And the more
Thank
you
you.
tap into your voice, it becomes more clear. And I love that you're stepping into like this new healing, quote unquote, journey era. Could you tell us a little bit about what made you want to make these changes and embarked on this journey of like finding your voice?
Yeah. I think like when I look back to like 5 years ago when I started considering like a, a passion in the fitness space, like all I knew was that I loved moving my body. I wanted to be back on a team and like I would kind of see where it went. Right. But like over time, I quickly realized that like there are, number one, so many fitness instructors out there, so many amazing fitness instructors, but like you have to really stand out if you want to create an authentic and meaningful community in a way that feels different. Instead of just being like one in a million, how can you be that one person or that one community that like people feel really connected to and really drawn to? Because I always say that a workout is more than moving your body. It's healing, it can be emotional, it's spiritual, and if you find that right place and that right person to guide you through that experience, like, it is so special. um but like, in order to create that type of community, you really have to be like comfortable and authentic in your own self. And I think over time, like, I felt a lot of the pressure and the competition of the industry. Like, not only is there competition because like it's the fitness space, right? Like, you have
Yeah.
to be fit and like teaching the class and like understanding the body, motivating the clients, but you also have to have this like emotional, real, raw side to your class.
Hmm.
I just felt myself getting like lost a little bit in like, who am I? What am I supposed to say? How do I want people to feel? What makes me different? And on top of that, you get lost in like the social media craze as well,
Hmm.
because it's just such a slippery slope,
It
right?
really is. Yeah.
So I think that's like what inspired me. Like, well, what was going on in my head is like, I need to know me before I can create a space where people can know themselves.
Mm.
And although I think I've done that at some level, right,
Hmm.
over the last 4 years, like, how can I make that even stronger? How
Yeah.
can I double down on that idea to, yeah, create a bigger, safer, more beautiful space for people to move?
Hmm.
So that was all kind of like running through my head. And then recently, right before I launched this presence project, I was teaching a class at Sweat Sessions downtown in Chicago, and the founder, owner, Aubrey, we like our schedules are always opposite, so we're never in the space at the same time. And we just so happened to be in the studio together. She, was kind of working, the front desk and was listening to me teach class. And after class, I was like, give me some feedback. Like, what did you think? How'd it
Mhm.
go? And, we talked a little bit. And at the end, she said, and I'll read this quote because this is really what like prompted me to start the project.
Okay.
She was like, um, one more thing, Kendra, like just be you. You have so much wisdom, and we all learn from you all the time. So don't be afraid to weave in your unique message because I think that's really valuable. And reading that message, of course, from your boss and someone that inspires you, motivates you, like it felt really emotional to me. And I think my response was something to the tune of like, thank you. I'm still trying to figure out like who she is, like
Yeah.
who that authentic person is. And it was just an alarm bell to me to say, like, Kendra, let's dive a little bit deeper here. Like, you have the time to do the work and like, let's do it. Let's start to like think through what that authentic voice sounds like in a way that will help you be more you.
I love this so much. And not to sound cheesy, but I feel like it's really brave of you to even say that you are still trying to figure out who you are, because I think we are all doing that. And no one
Yeah.
likes to admit that,
Yeah.
especially in the day and age of social media in the fitness industry. It's very competitive, there's a lot going
Yeah.
on. And being yourself is so important. So I commend you for that. You are an amazing human being. And also, you have double Leo in your big three. So you're meant to be like this shining star. And I just feel like what you're going to tell us a little bit about your project is like going to catapult you into something amazing. I just feel it.
Courtney, I love you. You're also like my biggest fan, which is like, you make me feel so special. So thank you.
You are.
I think you told me when you found my double Leo, you were like, you're going to be a superstar someday. Like, don't forget about me. Like,
Yep.
never, never
Yep.
would I ever.
Always.
Um, so as you were mentioning, of course, this like led me to this presence project. And again, it's still ongoing. It is a 5-week program and it's all about reconnecting with voice, with energy, with authenticity. And I think at the root, it's about trusting your gut, as you were
Hmm.
saying, like trusting your intuition. What do you have to say? And how can you say that? Sometimes, like, even without your words. And like, that's why I think the word presence was so important as like a part of the project name, because like presence isn't just what you say, it's how you show up, it's your body language, it's how you listen, which I loved like learning more about with like the throat chakra. It's not just what you say, but it's how you
Yeah.
listen to other people.
Hmm.
So just kind of taking into account all of those things like led me to build this project.
Yeah.
And at first, before I like launched it on my social media page, I was like going to just do this for myself. Like there was no
Yeah.
reason for me to like involve anyone else. But then I thought about it and I'm like, well, if this could help me, like why not let it help like one other person who follows me or who wants to like also do this or a part of it. So um I launched it on my Instagram and like every week I have journal prompts and challenges that go along with kind of each week's focus. And I know we'll talk about this a little bit more as we kind of
Hmm.
dive in, but the community can follow along if they'd like. So it's kind of this personal pursuit, but I've opened it up to make it feel inclusive because I think at the root, like that's what I'm all about. I'm about making people feel like part of the team,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
it's super authentic to show yourself as you're working on this as well.
Yeah. There's I was just working on some leadership training at my job and we were talking about building resilience in a team. So like as a manager of a team, how do you build resilience? And one of the best ways to do that on your team are these like moments of vulnerability and like owning that you're not perfect. No one's perfect. There's no perfect way to do life. And I think as a manager or as a leader of people, being able to share the experiences that you have that aren't perfect or times that you did mess up, like makes people want to follow you more, which I think sometimes you don't realize that. Like those
Yeah,
pieces don't always feel like they get put together. But
absolutely.
yeah,
Experiences are like the best teachers out there.
yeah,
Could you explain
yes,
a little bit about what the Presence Project is? I know you talked a 5-week program, but
yep,
then maybe break it down as like you said you're 3 weeks in. What was weeks 1 to 3?
perfect. Yeah, I'll give a high level overview. So right now, this week started week 4. So the
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks that are behind us, week 1 was all about like clearing out the noise, clearing out all of the external influences. So one of the challenges from week 1 was like, deleting Instagram. So just like removing all of the shit that could
Mm-hmm.
be in your way and like just who are you? Focusing on you.
Mm-hmm.
Week 2 was all about energy before your strategy. So before you figure out like what you want to say with your authentic voice, how do you show up without saying a word? Like, what does your energy feel like? How are you communicating with body language? How are you actively listening to friends, clients, so on and so forth? And then week 3 was all about duality and connections. So, how can you be two things at once or resonate with two things at once and not feeling like you have to cut part of yourself out to be one thing? Like the idea that wholeness is made up of many different parts and like
Yeah.
honoring all of these sides of yourself. So there were, like I mentioned, prompts for each week and then some little like challenges and activities for each week. And then week 4, that we just picked off is about power from the inside out. And I can
Mm.
talk a little bit more about that. But I feel
Yeah.
like this week and next week, of course, like the program progresses, right? So it
Yeah.
starts like cleaning the slate, getting it all out of the way, and then ending next week with really like owning that authentic voice.
I love this. When you were explaining that, the words that instantly came to my head for like week 1, 2, and 3 was clear, feel, and balance. And
Ooh.
I don't know why that just like that it's like you're almost like working through the stages of like
Hmm.
clearing the throat chakra. It's very
Yes.
beautiful. Can you
Thank
tell
you.
us a little bit about like what are some discoveries you've made in the first 3 weeks?
Hmm. I can. And then I'm going to ask you the same question
Yeah.
for it because I know
I
that
pulled out
you've
my
also
journal.
been following along.
I meant to like look at it before we did this, so I may have to browse while we
That's
chat.
okay. That's okay. I was also pulling my journal out last night. And I jotted down a few in preparation for today, but I know that these are just a handful.
Mhm.
The first one was that like I am selling myself short if I'm just trying to become a better version of something that's already been created.
Mm,
And I think this came a lot from the prompt around mimicking. And I think, and I talked a little bit about this on my Instagram, but people mimic for different reasons, right? You mimic to learn something new, but you also mimic to like perform or to kind of like change who you are. And oftentimes we do that because we're not comfortable or confident in our authentic self. And especially, like I said, in such a saturated industry like fitness, it's like, well, I saw her do that or I saw him do that. How can I do it better?
mm,
But like, that's not what we should do. That's not what I want to do. Again, that's selling myself short. It's not can I do it better? It's how can I do it my way? Or how can I do it in a way that feels more genuine or more authentic? Or just like, that was awesome that they did that, but like that doesn't connect with me. I'm going to do this and just
mhm,
feeling really assured in that decision. Um, the next one was all about like seeing the confidence in myself that other people see in me. I think oftentimes like I can be viewed as a very like confident woman and like I love that. I think I am, but I also struggle with like negative self-talk and, thoughts that get in the way of me believing that I am and knowing that I am a confident woman. So just being able to see and truly feel what others see in me. Um, the third one is that my energy is a superpower.
Mm.
And I think I know that, but like, how can I double down onto that? And I was having kind of a conversation with Kevin about some of the prompts, and he was like, Kendra, like, you don't understand like the presence you hold in a room. Like when people walk in, like they can feel you before they like start talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
And even yesterday at work, my boss said the same thing. She was like, we had our like last Monday morning meeting that I was a part of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, your presence is going to be so missed in this room. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, like,
Love to
God,
hear it.
that's so powerful. And like, how can I double down in that superpower? And then the last one, Court, is so funny. You mentioned it already, but one of my colleagues in the industry, she was messaging me back and forth on some of my prompts, and she kind of like amplified this idea for me that it was in the duality week where like being confident doesn't mean you're not vulnerable.
Mm.
Confident people are vulnerable. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like this duality of soft and strong that is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we forget that,
Yeah.
that like confidence doesn't mean you have to like have your shit together all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It's about finding a balance in everything. Like nobody's perfect. And we
Yeah.
don't want to hear about everyone being perfect either.
No, that's so boring.
So boring. I
Yeah.
love those. Those are fabulous. You do have a very powerful energy. Yeah. Thank you. And I
Um,
have been following along with the questions, and they've
yeah.
been so wonderful. I do want to ask you, how did you
Mhm.
come up with these prompts?
Mm, that's a great question. So I like talk through the idea, and I've talked to a few girlfriends about this. So some
Yeah.
people are maybe going to be like, you're crazy. But I have regular conversations with ChatGPT,
Yeah.
like all the
Naturally.
time, naturally,
Yeah.
like in my car. And I was talking to my chat about this idea and was like talking through what I wanted to do and like the weeks of this project, and like asked it for some prompts. And then like based on the prompts it gave me was like, oh, I don't know if this one really connects. Like, what about a different one? And like really worked through
Yeah.
my AI prompt
Yeah.
tool to like get to these,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is so fabulous. I think right now people are either like really adopting AI in a way that is helpful, or nervous to adopt it, or adopting AI in a way that's completely taking like the human
Mm-hmm.
out of work. And
Yeah.
I think there's a balance in that. So ultimately, that's what helped me kind of frame all of
Love
the
it.
prompts that I wanted to like nestle into each section.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. I think some of my greatest takeaways from the prompts was that like fear is one thing that really holds me back. And a lot of it is like childhood stuff. I went really deep into it. It
Yeah.
was just
You don't
like,
have to share it all.
yeah, but it was this idea of like being too much,
Mm,
or my magnet, what makes me feel magnetic without even trying. This was a big one for me because I feel magnetic when my solar plexus is really open. And I was told I was too much when I would do that as a child. So it's very much this idea of I don't allow myself to be as magnetic as I know I can be, because I was always told to dim my light. And that was like a really powerful one for me of kind of evaluating like, oh, wow, I'm holding myself back. I should be dancing through life always.
dancing through life.
But I
Oh,
love these prompts,
that's
and I
amazing,
love that you're
Court.
sharing this because it is so powerful. And can you tell us a little bit about changes you have had in your mentality? Because as you go through this stuff, I know I've had creative breakthroughs through your
Yeah.
questions. Have you had anything? Because your creativity is directly tied to your throat. You don't have
Yeah.
to share if you have like big stuff, but anything creative that has come through with this.
Yeah. I think I think this is like yes and no. I
Mhm.
think like 3 weeks at some level like is a very short time period, and I think I started this project at like the perfect time, but also like a really tough time in my life
Yeah.
when I am going through this transition. So I almost feel like I need to like repeat the project when I do have even like more time to really dig deep and get like intimate like with my own thoughts and feelings. But at like a very high level, I've noticed myself having like less, I call them like Sunday scaries, but like less scaries before I teach a class where like I would always worry so much like, what am I going to say in class today? Or like,
Mm,
what's a message that's like really connecting with me right now that I want to share? And instead of getting like anxious about that, just like trusting myself to know that when I open my mouth, like something's going to come out that feels true to me and I hope feels true to the people in the room. And like being more, yeah, authentic in those moments, I think has made me feel more confident,
yeah.
teaching classes. And then I've just tried to flex in the last 3 weeks, just being more like open and candid on social
Mhm.
or like doing a lot more just like talk alouds on my stories,
Yeah.
letting people know like what's going on in my life, things that I'm feeling, things that I've heard, and just trying to show, I think, my community a more authentic version of me is
Yeah.
like really how my mentality has changed. I think from a creative side, I'm excited to see what that could look like, but I don't know if I've had like a big creative breakthrough yet.
Mhm. I'll be
Oh,
curious.
actually, wait.
Wait, I think you have because I think you shared something on your social media and I was like,
Okay.
this is her working on her throat.
Oh my gosh, wait, I have. And I don't know if I'm like ready to share it here
That's what I was
yet.
going to say. You don't have to.
Whoa. I like almost forgot. My life is like just wild right now. So, yes, I had this thought while I was running, which I was sharing on my story. I despise running. Like, say, Kendra, I'll give you $1,000 to run 5 miles. And I'd be like, "Pff, keep it. But I was running and I had this thought, and it definitely is stemming from these prompts of how I can be more authentic in the content that I share specifically on Instagram or social media. And actually, this morning, I filmed my first piece of it. So more to come.
Yeah. We'll just be
Yeah,
on the lookout. We'll be on the
amazing.
lookout. I love this. And has anyone in your community, like myself, shared with you that they are working on this presence project? Have they given you feedback?
Yeah, I think people, I mean, it's not like everyone in my community is following along. I
Mhm.
think a lot of people, I think actually the majority of people who I realize this content has connected with came from me just having like casual conversations, whether that's at work with colleagues that follow me, whether it's in class. People will just say, like, by the way, I'm following that project that you're doing, or I
Love.
deleted Instagram, or I journaled on X and like I thought it was really awesome. Like, thank you for sharing. But I do have, people who will DM me and or like comment on my posts. I have like some gals who are voice memoing me
Mm,
their thoughts. So yeah. And again, like the reason why I did this wasn't necessarily to like generate those conversations, but I love that it's happening organically when people feel comfortable, um, because I'm really just doing it for me.
yeah. I
Yeah,
love that. Your light is going further than you realize, I feel like.
thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about week 4 and 5 and what those look like?
Sure. Yeah. So week 4, like I mentioned, just kicked off on Monday, and I'm super excited about this week because again, it's power from the inside out. So like stopping this idea of having to perform.
Mm,
And this was something that when I went on Jack's retreat, I had noted down was one thing that I do to like mask my emotions.
mm,
And I think like it's tough because as a fitness instructor, And even in my corporate career, I did a lot of facilitation or directing like in-person learning experiences. So like there's an element of like performance you have to put on to like
Yeah.
own a stage, command a room, like be the owner of this experience. But I think you have to recognize when you're performing to mask and when you're performing in a way that's still like authentic and for the betterment of the group, right? Or that experience. So I think digging into that a little bit more will be really helpful for me to know like, why am I performing if I'm
Yeah.
putting like a mask on or if I'm like doing my job,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so anyway, I'm excited to dive deeper there on week 4. And then the final week, as I mentioned, is all just about like speaking it into existence. So practicing actually voicing, vocalizing things that maybe I've been holding inside that I've been nervous to share or hesitant to speak to. So it's really like kind of coming into your power.
Love that. I love
Yeah.
that so much. It's so fun. And what are you hoping to get out of the end of the presence project for
Yeah.
yourself?
I think simply it's like just being more connected to myself, more confident in who I am, um, less influenced by other people, which is tough. Like, I have so many connections that, like, in the fitness space or just in life that are like influencers on social media, and I
Yeah.
love them. I think their job is really important. But how can I be influenced in a way that still allows me to be authentic?
Mm, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And like almost gut check myself a little bit more, where if I'm going into an experience, a room, networking event, to teach a class, like just being able to identify, like, am I being me or am I being a version of me that's performative or that's masking how they really feel or that's like pretending to be their authentic self and just like have those real moments, almost like a mirror moment that you can just self identify and say, like, Kendra, drop it, like be you and
Yeah.
just like be okay with that right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what do you want the listeners to take away from your project and your story and your experience?
Yeah, I think you said one thing already that is kind of like you're seeing that in me, but I want other people to take away in themselves, which is like the way you can show up for yourself impacts how you show up for other people,
Mm,
period.
yeah.
And I mean, I was even talking about this last week in class. Like, you have to honor yourself as much as you honor other people. Um, and like our cups have to be full to fill the cups of others. And I think it's almost like one of those like time investment things. You have to invest the time in yourself up front to be able to have investment in other people. So just like a reminder that we're powerful and like put time and energy into yourself and you will impact the way others feel about themselves.
I love that.
Yeah. And then the last one is around competition for sure. Like, you don't have to compete or perform to show your worth. Like,
Mhm.
you are powerful in yourself. All the real, the raw, the imperfect parts of you are the parts of you that like are the most beautiful.
Period. I love that. Mic drop. Seriously though, that is the best ever. I love that.
Yeah.
And where can people find you on social media if they want to follow along or start this project from the start?
Absolutely. You can follow me along on Instagram or follow along with me. What did I say?
Mhm.
On Instagram, my handle is Splendra, Splendra. And yeah, feel free to follow along. I've got all of the highlights from the Presence Project right at the top of the page. And I would love to meet you, see you there, and yeah, connect with you more.
Yeah, everyone needs to follow Kendra. She's like next generation cult leader. Love her so much.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for coming on, Kendra.
Oh, Court, it has been such a pleasure. Again, thank you so much for this experience. It's my first podcast ever, so I
Probably of
hope
many.
oh, well, a girl can dream.
Thank you so much, Kendra. Visit ablealchemy.com to download your free chakra journal and to learn more about Able Alchemy. This is a place where your dreams and reality align through services like tarot and astrology readings, sound bath sessions, and intuitive branding for businesses looking to align with their manifestations and purpose through soul-led studies such as astrology business energy analysis and chakra color theory. Follow along with Able Alchemy on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.